good schools, I tell you. We met people from different backgrounds. So you see, when you meet people who are exposed, people who are coming from various families, but we are facing them with our own values. So at the end of the day, we get to know what we learn from them and what they learn from us. We get to know the difference of what is right and what is wrong. So I would differ with someone in a very polite way, that we don't fight, we don't get ourselves in fist fights, but we get to understand one another. We sell our idea through debates, we win on the table. And I think that has been one of the best.
Yes, guys, here I have a jack of all trades, the man himself. He's a police officer, he's a family man, he's a Christian. He's going to tell us his story in an introduction from Karibu Sana, Mr. Chompo, and tell us your story.
Thank you so much. My name is David Ochom. As you've said, I'm a Christian, I'm a father, a husband, and a professional teacher, though a career policeman. Born in a village called Kanyadoto, a place I love so much, a place I always want to identify with, and schooled in the same village, though later went to Sangwa Academy. My childhood, actually, when the moment I can say that I began to realize who I am and the people I socialized with was in Sangwa Academy. You see, I met various challenges, and I realized that life was making more meaning, because I made friends, and I began to see people who inspired my life, or people who really enjoyed my company and I enjoyed theirs. I began learning new languages from there. Actually, that was the first place I met my exposure as an individual. So basically, it's in Sangwa Academy that I learned a lot of things. Though later I never finished my primary school there. I later transferred to Kamagambo High School. You know, being a pastor's kid, definitely I went most of my school life were within the church schools, the schools that are sponsored by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So I also really link much of my upbringing to that Christianity. My education is basically embedded on Christianity. Most of the things I do, the decisions that I make, my agent of socialization has basically been the church and the church schools. So most of my life and the things I go through, my worldview is better built by the church schools. So that is where I also attribute much of my success to. Yes.
Yeah. How do you link between your background, home background, church, and your story today?
I'm basically, everything about me is linked to church, and schooling is church, and I sometimes make even some jokes that I'm nothing without the church, because you know, being brought up in a church environment, it is church that schooled me, it is a church that clothed me, it is church that fed me to where I am and when I realized myself. So basically everything I do, everything that involves my life is basically about the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So that is why you'll find mostly, even in most of my work, the decisions I make, the risks I take are basically taught and inculcated through the church. So I hold church so dear to me. It's a place after my own heart, like the story of David.
Yeah.
Yes.
So has it supported your career, your professions? Because professions, as you've just mentioned.
Yes, you see, even in my university education, I also went to a church university in Uganda. So basically, like I said earlier, I am basically nothing without the church. and the church has inspired me. I'm really inspired individual, very hopeful. I always call myself a son of hope,
Yeah.
because it is when nobody knew even my background, nobody knew my family. It is the church that introduced my family to everything that we are today. So it is the hope that we still cling to. It is the hope that we still want to inspire our children to grow in it. It is everything that makes my career and my professionalism and everything.
Yeah. Growing up in a 70-day setting,
Yeah.
in schooling, at home,
Yes.
can I say that you are narrowly minded when it comes to world sphere of thinking?
No, that would not be so correct, because
You have an experience of other places.
that would not be so correct to as per se. But I want to say we also live with people. We live with so many people that engulf our surrounding. So basically, I think I might not say that I don't have a clear understanding of what the world has for us. Instead, I understand what the world should be. I really understand what the world was initially meant to be. So what the world is today basically would not be what I learned and what I was taught through my childhood experience. So what I bring to the world, something that is unique about me, is I want to see a world like it ought to be. I want to see a world where everyone is pursuing their dreams with the realization that our dreams are intertwined. Our dreams are joined. If you achieve we have a common goal. About different purposes, but a common goal. So all of us, we are purposed to glorify our Creator, to please God. At the end of the day, when everything is said, when we all take off our career, when we all take our professionalism, we remain with one thing: we are both children of God. So I want to see a world that everyone does everything that is right, something that uplifts one another, something that inspires the soul, something that changes people. I mean, we need to change how things work to a better way. Yes.
Yeah. And how do we say of you as a social being? What makes you a good social being?
I think like a pure gold, I've passed through my own fire, and I've gone through different agents of socialization. But the basic one, I'm blessed with a good family. I think that is where we draw much of our worldview from my father, my mother. I have my brothers and sisters, and even those friends who make a closer home. You see, my dad is such a great man who inculcated leadership in us at a very young age. I mean, I always tell people that we had a home parliament. You know, being yes, all of us. Actually, every day before we took our supper, or should I call it dinner, our father would make sure that we gather around the table, and each one of us would say something that either has made us mad, or something that we saw that was so inspiring. We would come up with stories as a family, and we call that home parliament. That is where we learned to express ourselves, to say, I mean, to give a view that interests us. We learned to say what is unfair to us, or to speak out, and actually we were able to foster confidence to tell Dad, no, this is not the right thing. As for me, I don't think this is the best way. But this is because the family was the best agent of socialization. After that, I also went to good schools. They are godly schools, the church schools, but they were good schools, I tell you. We met people from different backgrounds. So you see, when you meet people who are exposed, people who are coming from various families, but we are facing them with our own values. So at the end of the day, we get to know what we learn from them and what they learn from us. We get to know the difference of what is right and what is wrong. So I would differ with someone in a very polite way, that we don't fight, we don't get ourselves in fist fights, but we get to understand one another. We sell our idea through debates, we win on the table. And I think that has been one of the best. And being as someone who also loves reading, I love reading so much of my time, especially very early in the morning and few minutes before I go to sleep, I read a chapter or two. I love photography. I'm somebody who communicates well when I see a good picture. So sometimes I take time to also see these things and analyze them, how the world is supposed to be. Yes, so I think I'm socially ripe. Okay,
let's speak about Kenya as a world. What do you think is wrong with Kenya? Given an opportunity, what do you think you can do to Kenya, the youth and those with challenges today?
I think one of the things I will never do, I always tell my friend, you know, right now I work with the disciplined service, and one thing I always promise my friends that I am a patriotic person. I love my country. I would always want to be in Kenya. Yes, we can say that there are several things that we would want to do differently, but let it be understood that when I want to do something differently, it doesn't mean that majority of things that happens around me are done wrongly. It's only that a different idea. We are in 21st century, so most of the things like today, definitely we'll talk about every school every school should access internet, because everything is moving online. I mean, nowadays people are dating online. Most markets today, as we speak, most markets are online. So I was even making fun of my pastor the other time that even preaching has gone online. So everything is online. So the only thing that differs from the earlier group, and definitely a new generation of change, we come up with an idea that will make sure that we both find a podium to share our ideas and debate fully in an issue-based manner. We debate on things that really matters to us. The stakes are so high. A generation must give a clear goal, a clear indication, a clear achievement. Because I love the quotes by Barack Obama says we must live in this world not like it is ours, but like we've borrowed it from the coming generation. So every generation must rise to an occasion to do something that will leave a mark, a blueprint for the coming generation. Like today, I would want to do something that when my daughter and my son come after me, they find a mark. They find I've done something inspirational, not only to them, but to the entire generation of kids who come before me. During my years in classroom, I really loved teaching, and I still believe that one day I'll get back to teaching. This is because during teaching in a class, you find a group of students. There are people who experience low self-esteem. There are people who are just not confident of themselves. There are also just people who are just demoralized, they are discouraged. But you see, when you stand before them, the mood you set, the pace you set can either discourage them from facing life like they should, or you can as well discourage them more. So in my life, I really want to see a generation that is fired up to take up a task and do it like they should, with courage, with confidence, with knowledge. I mean, you need to know what you're doing. Whatever you touch, you do it wholeheartedly. You do it to perfection. So this is what I bring differently to everyone around me. You see, everyone has the capability of doing anything, but everyone would just do it for the sake. We are lacking people who can give a finer touch, a detailed touch on everything we do. If you're a marathoner, you do it fine-tune the marathon in you so that you rise to an occasion where you create a history. If you're a teacher, you do it perfectly. If you're a police officer, you guard the law. You guard it jealously, like it ought to be, without infringing people's rights, without doing what is wrong. I mean, that is what we need to do. That is my worldview. The justice, we do justice to everything. Justice to what we touch, justice to whatever we eat, and we build a better community, a better society, and a better country for each one of us.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so very much. Finally, you've got to look into that camera.
Thank you.
And speak your last words of inspiration to the people out there.
Thank you to my audience who are watching me. I really love us to think about why we were born and or the reasons why we have to live. Life really has everything for us. It is up to us to take it up and make a useful meaning to it. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much.